Mm-hmm.
All right, we should be live on YouTube. We're
There
just
you go.
waiting on it to triple check. It'd be perfect, perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special AMA slash podcast of the most anticipated RPG that just so happens to be on the Switch this year. I'm here with my very expert advice co-host, the one and only Oziak, and we are here to talk about all of your questions, your burning questions for Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope coming out this Thursday. Ozzy, are you
Yeah, it's
excited?
finally time. I mean, genuinely, I think that game looks pretty cool.
Oh,
Um,
sorry, I forgot. The game we're talking about today is also going to be available on Game Pass. Heavy Xbox marketing. The game we are here to answer all of your burning questions for, slash Ozzy's a huge fan of, is Scorn. We're talking about Scorn today.
of course.
Can we...
Well, we're not talking about the most recent drawn to life title.
Oh, no. But next week will be the spoiler cast for Total Drama Island Reboot. We will be doing a spoiler cast all about that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Okay,
don't get me on a tangent.
Okay, it's been 90 seconds. The Atlas lawyers have left. They don't think we're going to talk about Persona 5 Royal, a 3-year-old game that is also wait, not 5 years old. No, it is 5 years old. Yeah, it's very old either way, no matter how you think about it. So, guys, we are here to talk about Persona 5 Royal Remastered, which, by the way, if you go to the credits of this, once the game's actually out, October 21st, 2021, sorry, 2022, in the credits, Ozzy, it actually is called, much like the Japanese website, in English and in Japanese, Persona 5 Royal Remastered.
Huh. I mean, like, I guess it fits. It's not like it's a major remaster, but it does tweak some things, so, like, it's fair.
I would say it earns the remaster title by doing this. And it was making it the better version, so I will never have any reason to play the PS4 version. That's all it had to do to be counting as a remaster.
Like, yeah, because really all you have is, like, if you're an Xbox boy, you're set. Freaking, like, getting that instantly for Game Pass, that's sick. PS5 60 FPS, which actually is the Series X version 60 FPS or no?
Series X and S, they are both 60 FPS. Xbox One is not, though.
All right. Yeah, and then the Switch version, like I said online, on the internet, it tends to run better than the PS4 version in my experience.
Yeah, actually, I guess before we kind of get into questions, we might as well just give our what did we play it ons out of the way. For everyone watching live on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I have a whole bunch of pre-canned questions, but right now, since you all are watching live, if you have specific questions about the game, put them in chat. If I don't answer them, wait a minute and then put them there again. Try not to make it the obvious ones like technical stuff unless it's something later like really, really technical and then like we might forget about. But if it's the easiest stuff, we're probably going to talk about FPS, resolution, HDR, load time, stuff like that. But yeah, we both have been playing for like what, 2.5 weeks now? Like we got it like early October, I think.
3-ish.
Yeah. So where have you been playing, and how far are you into this bad boy? Because like both of us are gonna do like a proper thing on our channels, but like we're not gonna be dropping like a 15-minute review come Friday. So I kind of figured might as well just kind of loop this into the podcast first more than anything.
Mm-hmm. For me, I've been mainly playing on both PS5 and Switch, because portability makes that a dream. I honestly wish I could have been playing more. My friggin' month has been hectic with everything else. But I've put, I think, 10 hours into both Switch and PS5. Which basically is just like getting to the end of Kamoshida and a little bit further than that.
Mm-hmm. So I've pretty much on every system except PC. I've messed around on PC, but basically PC I made sure worked and then I didn't want to touch it anymore. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there covering the PC one more in general. The thing you need to know about the PC one, everybody, it runs on a potato and it looks great on an absolute beast of a system, so that's great to know. But yeah, so I am through up to meeting Yusuke on all systems. Well, not all systems. PS5 is my main one. Switch, I probably am the closest to my PS5 save, and then Xbox Series X has the least time. I did finally get a chance to see someone with a VHS Xbox One playing the game, because that was kind of hard to find footage of, because I was like, I'd gotten a couple questions about Xbox One specifically, and I don't have my original Xbox One, so I was like, okay, fuck, who has the game? But thankfully, Atlas and a bunch of retailers have been selling the game early and shipping out the game early, so I was able to find somebody checking it out. Good news, it plays literally just like the Switch version in terms of like resolution. Resolution is higher on Xbox One, obviously, but it is that like kind of more 700p, but it is like in that 30 FPS range and stuff for it. The interesting thing, though, and I've talked with you and a couple of other people about this, this is nice but boring at the same time in terms of saying this. There's not a bad version of this game.
Oh, no. It is, which honestly is just the best result of... Because I've had people being like, okay, but what version do you recommend? I'm like, I don't know, I have them all. Like, I like them all. They all work for different reasons. If you like your, like, modding scene and just like the customizability of it, obviously go PC. Switch port, like I find it funny. My main run is on PS5, like the serious one I'm playing, but I've actually gotten further on Switch. Where that one I'm kind of just like screwing around, was kind of rushing so I could get to Tycoon because I thought that'd be fun. I've been playing with like the DLC personas and stuff. Yeah, but like the Switch version runs perfectly fine. I've just been grinding through that while on like car trips and stuff. And yeah, PS5, the 60 FPS is gorgeous and just like really clean. Like there's some moments where it definitely, you can tell like this was not designed for 60.
Oh no, that was my first big complaint to you and everyone else when we got codes of like when I saw footage of the game running at 60, and then when I got my hands on it, my worst fears unfortunately came true of like. This feels like when you're playing it at 60, it feels like you're playing a mod. Like it doesn't, like the game was not designed, like the animations were not meant to be played that fast at all.
Even then though, like I feel like as I've gotten further into the game, it's definitely felt more natural. I've gotten, which I feel like with P5 just stylistically being stuck at 30 FPS for so long, every time it's gone to 30, even if it was designed for it, it's thrown me off. Because yeah, playing Strikers initially for PS4 destroyed my brain. I was not prepared for that one.
So like a weird one for me and kind of an odd leg up for the for the Switch version is I actually like that it gives you an ability to play it in 30 FPS because like. And I see someone and I see Faz in the live chat actually being like 60 FPS felt perfectly fine. So it feels great. It feels super buttery smooth. I've like seen it at like unlocked frames. Like it runs great at any frame rate. The problem is it just feels like I'm watching the game because like it's a game I've seen in action for years. So it being sped up in the cutscenes and in the gameplay, it just feels weird because I know what this was meant to look at. Like it's not like watching an action game where like the faster it goes, the more fluid it looks. Like especially for a turn-based battle, it just feels like I'm playing it on fast forward.
Yeah, it's a little surreal, but like again, as I've gone more, I've gotten used to it. It's just kind of that. It's kind of similar to when Soul Hackers 2 was like coming out or in pre-release and like being like, oh yeah, like 60 FPS is great. Oh, let me play it in 30. Oh gosh, everything is in slow motion.
Yeah, like Soul Hackers and this I think are very interesting opposite parallels of like Soul Hackers never felt weird to me at 60 FPS, feels slow to me in 30. But then with P5, like I gotta be real, I appreciate the fact that this game runs on PlayStation 5 and Series X at 4K 60, buttery smooth, but I'm not gonna lie, I kinda would have liked a 30 FPS option there.
I can understand that.
Like, at least in
Uh,
terms of, like, having a option would have been nice in terms of, obviously it probably wouldn't have given any benefit to playing it that way, but at the very least just be like, for those people who kind of like how those animations look. I'll say this though, because like, I don't know how much of the story you've been playing. I am skipping all of the story. Of like, listen, there's no new story content here, so let's just skip through this and see how much. Speedrunners are going to love how fast this goes now. Like, especially with the like new systems and like the new faster hard drives. Playing it on PS5 is an absolute beast of like how fast you can just blow through everything.
oh yeah, like there are very very rare occasions where you'll ever see the take your time message, and I think it's only really when like pop-ups show up between load screens.
You should bring up though. Oh, I do want to say because I remember when I saw how fast loads were going. Not the take your time load, but you know what I was worried we would lose was the train in the crowd transitions.
Yeah,
They,
I'm glad those are essentially maintained.
It's nice that they kept them without them being like it's basically there for like a half a second. Like they're there for you long enough to enjoy them, but it never feels like a load. It just feels more like a transition, which I think is nice. But
Yeah.
I want to hear more from you because you talked about this I think yesterday or today of like while we're saying how fast and great this runs on PS5 and Xbox, like shout out to the Switch because it's even outperformed the PS4 and Pro version.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like because I remember like we were both kind of joking about it before release of, oh yeah, PS5 is gonna get rid of the take your time messages. Not Switch though. No, those are gonna overstay their welcome. And then I played it. I'm like, this is like, it's not ridiculously faster than the PS4, but it's noticeably faster. And from what I've seen, I know I've seen a single person give me some pushback on that, and they were a speedrunner, but like. And I've been doing my comparison.
For the normies out there who are playing it on a base PS4 hard drive, like you will notice it feels just as fast, if not faster, on Switch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, which I don't know the technical reasons why.
Oh, actually,
My,
well, you bring up a good kind of segue with one of the things Pi says in the chat. Shoutouts to the team over at Sega who worked on this. I know
yeah.
I talked about this with Faz, but I'm not sure if I ever... Did I tell you who specifically are, like, the team at Sega who made this port?
No.
So this is hilarious. Because, like, there was an interview, I think, in the Famitsu... where they were basically like the port was handled. I forget the name of the producer. It might have been actually Wada, but basically he was out there saying, "Hey, the team at instead of the team at P Studio and Atlas working on these ports, these were all handled. Every version was handled by Sega." But like Sega is a very vague way of saying it. And what was funny about it was there's actually the team who worked on it was the Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympics and Sakura Wars team.
That's quite a repertoire.
Like, imagine going from financial failure Sakura Wars PS4 to cursed for all the wrong reasons Mario Sonic 2020 Olympics to then go to a random port of P5R. But then the best part is like, and again, the game's not out yet. There may be some huge, big bomb explosion that goes off when it happens. But like, as of now, everyone is universally all agreed. These are amazing ports, technically and everything else.
I don't know if you'd agree to this extent. I think these are probably the best ports Atlas has like done either. Like,
well, at least published. Yeah, definitely the best ports they've published for sure. Because, I wouldn't count... I think Art Dink did a great job on Xbox and PC for Soul Hackers, but I don't think it was... I think theirs was, like, it was parody to PS5 and whatnot for those, but, like, this one, for me, because it does technically give you more options and other stuff with it, is just an interesting situation of it is a boring remaster in terms of no new content in any way, shape, or form, but just technically, it does everything it needs to replace the old version. Also, Pi Studios, the Xbox One version was ass. Yes, that is true, but also the Xbox One is like a 13-year-old toaster at this point. Any game that runs on that, I'm amazed happened.
Okay, real quick, I'm gonna give a slight pushback on no new content. Not because you're wrong in any literal sense, but for completely understandable reasons, the majority of people did not buy the Royal DLC. Good on them. But a lot of that DLC is fun. Is like specifically the personas. So if you want a refresher on Royal, or obviously you haven't played it before, it's fun to mess around with that stuff. And you don't have to pay for it again, it's just there.
But you do have to find it in the storage area.
Yeah, no, you got to open the box and then click through like 80 notifications for every single item.
DLC I'm happy is there, but does lead into other things of there. Much like you and me have talked about before, obviously I'm way more in the negative camp of I think Royal has a lot of things that still could have been fixed. I'm kind of sad that there are things about this version that then didn't fix what Royal had, which was a little bit frustrating of like, from major things obviously that they were never going to do, like add multiplayer to like the Thieves Den, or like tinier things, like what I would have wanted to do, it'd be like, hey, let's do other things, like, even if it makes no sense, add Akechi and add Kasumi to New Game Plus. Because, like, the fact that they have DLC is the most insulting thing of all time, because you're going to enjoy it for, like, 10 hours tops.
I think that's less of an issue when you don't have to buy them. I think I care way less if it's like, oh yeah, she's here for this final dungeon. Oh, and she gets some cool little costumes. Rather than, oh man, $10 for the Kasumi outfit pack. Oh, I can't wait. When do I get to use it?
Other one, especially coming off of Soul Hackers 2, which sucks, is music still being locked to costumes. I've always hated, and I still hate it here.
Because that was a really cool thing that Soul Hackers 2 did that I liked, and even Strikers, of just once you have access to a song, just letting you choose what you want to do or like randomize it.
Yeah, the shuffle DLC song is my like favorite thing about music DLC in any games.
Yeah. Or even like, honestly, like one small thing I've always wanted for Royal, obviously like it's not a big deal. I've always wanted to flip Last Surprise and Takeover to where Last Surprise is the ambush theme, just because like I love Takeover, just a bit much for me.
It's funny. There are people out there who literally don't even know that Last Surprise is still in there.
I mean, yeah, because like you only have to manually listen to Last Surprise like twice, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like, I don't know, take over the battle theme of Persona 5.
How do you feel? We might as well talk about one of the elephants in the room, even though we don't have a lot of answers for it, unfortunately. How did you feel about the removal of Rydo in all these new versions?
Is there anything they could have done about that? I'm not saying
100%. I'll tell you what. I've not heard anything back officially from PR. I've sent, at least as of right now, 1 email to PR. No reply back. I have talked to someone who is like working on the project. I have heard that if the conversation continues, they are they've already gotten requests by publishing partners. They're looking to add it back in as optional downloaded DLC like they did with Nocturne. So basically, for all you guys out there who don't know, in original P5, there was a battle pack that let you have costumes and music, I think also accessories as well, but they let you dress up as Rydo Kuzunoha from the Devil Summoner games, and this was in the PlayStation 4 version if you downloaded the DLC, but is not in these PlayStation 5, PC, Switch, Xbox ports. So
even then, wasn't the Rydo costume in original P5? I think.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
pretty sure
also an
it was.
original one with it. But the thing with it that is interesting is if they end up doing what they did with Nocturne in Asia, where they gave it away as free DLC, but only for like a month. So I'm wondering if they end up just doing something like that. I would prefer they just make it a patch. But the reasoning I've been told by people is the only reason Rydo was removed from all versions is because it was easier for them just to make one version of the game for the regions as opposed to having to do what they did with Nocturne and have one version for Korea, one version for China, one version for Japan, one version for the West, and everything like that.
Yeah, I um, I think it would be nice. I didn't even think about this for some reason, but yeah, if they just made it downloadable, it'd be a little weird because I don't think anyone would think to even check generally. Um, but I guess people who really want Rydo costumes, they can just go there and get it. Hopefully.
Well, it just really stinks because like it's not even like oh the files are locked; they're out of the
Oh,
game.
they're removed. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I saw that much. Which I saw they were pretty easy to add back in, but yeah, no, they just wiped it.
Like honestly, it took more effort to remove Rydo than it would for them to have just hidden it. You know.
Yeah.
Um, other interesting little thing with the Rydo situation, I forget. This was a question that I think was asked earlier, but it's a good thing to note. Shout out though to as of right now, there is no patch at least on consoles for Persona 5 Royal. Everything is in the game, all the DLC. There's no separate downloadable thing you have to do because even like with P5R giving you the free P5 DLC on PS4, you still had to re-download that. It's really nice that it's just in the base game package on the disc on the cart right there in the first download. I do want to point out a funny thing about it though with the DLC. It does still act like it is DLC, and you have to basically go and redeem the like little box in your room a million times. But the weird one for me is this: is that all the DLC is there, and it's free in these new versions. But if you own the PlayStation 4 version of P5R, that is all still paid DLC.
Yeah.
Which they did the exact same thing with P5 originally, where they gave P5R owners P5's DLC for free, but they never made it free for P5 on PS3 or PS4. Just a little dumb thing for me of like when people always like thank Atlas, because like even Atlas says like I think even that was in the Famitsu interview this week, where they were like, hey. One of the biggest things about this release is that it comes with all the DLC, so now you can mess around with all the fun stuff in there. But it's like, it's cool if you give it to everyone for free, but you actually give it away to everybody. Because, like, my whole thing would be, like, the fact that if you want to play Persona 5 on PS4, like, original or PS3, you still have to buy all that useless DLC for the exact same price, and they're never going to lower it, just is so stupid to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
But, and at least on a positive note, is there one piece of DLC you would recommend everyone should try and check out if they've not played P5R with a DLC before?
I mean, honestly, like, obviously the big thing for me is just the personas. Like,
I'm surprised you say that.
game.
I always just don't care about the DLC personas.
I didn't care in vanilla P5 because personas in that game were very
Wow.
like they didn't have a ton of distinction.
Tsukiyomi hater over here.
Yeah. No, but like P5 adding persona traits makes a lot of them a lot more distinct, which I really like.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah. Costumes, I think I actually find it funny. I think the Dancing in Starlight outfits are some of the best costumes in Royal because Groovy is not a amazing opening song by most people. I like it.
Okay.
But like by most people's standards, it's not an amazing
Listen,
opening.
people out there think Shadow World is a bad song, so clearly their opinions are not meant to be tolerated.
I don't want to talk about those people. I actually do think that Groovy actually works better as a battle theme. I think it is a really good battle theme. And by extension also, on top of that, Featherman costumes. That's just the peak. Them composing an original like Featherman theme for Royal is beautiful.
Well, it's almost funny that we never had a full one until then. I would always recommend, this is my go-to because I don't think it ever gets enough credit. Definite recommendation for P5R. The Persona Q costumes are amazing, just because it is like playing a 3DS game with HD texture packs on. And one to avoid, never use any of the Strange Journey costumes. They're all terrible, and the song choice they picked is even more awful.
I love how the Demonica is like easily one of the coolest designs that Atlas has ever made. But when you're giving them to an entire party with no variation, it is insufferable to look at.
It's really lazy. It just looks bad.
Like,
especially when then the only song you have to listen to is from the fucking Womb of Grief. It's just like, okay, guys, we can move on. I will say, though, one of my biggest gripes in the original P5R, and this one does remedy that by including it for free, now everyone can finally experience the criminally hidden / under-discussed skill battles in the Velvet Room, where you can fight all the different battles. Those were great. Those are fun. The P3 and P4 fights are awesome. And the fact that they're free now, I hope more people can actually check them out, because Boy with Glasses and Boy with Gun or whatever, very fun.
See, that's always kind of been my hot take with the challenge battles, is everyone was like, oh, I really want to fight Narukami and Makoto Minato, whatever you want to call them. And I was with that camp until I played them, and I'm like, these are easily the most boring fights in this challenge area. Like, if you're actually trying to fight them, like, if you're fighting them as a novelty, it's like, ha, it's Narukami, and you fight him once, you're like, okay, alright, that was a fight. But if you're fighting, like, trying to do the challenge battle mechanics, those fights are insufferable. Those fights were not built around single opponents.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. They're probably the most boring DLC bosses Atlas has done, like, this last generation. Like, I enjoy the DLC bosses in SMT 4, 5, even Soul Hackers more than these. But hey, at least they brought back Yuri Lowenthal and Johnny Bosch for, like, the most unnecessary voice line recordings ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Red Hood, thank you for the correction. Sees Boy. S-E-E-S. S-E-E-S Boy. How could I forget such an iconic name? I'll never forget, by the way, the night that P5R released officially and I bought the DLC, and the first thing I did was to check that boss fight to see what it was like in English. One of my favorite little memories I remember I was like the first, if not one of the first people in English to post that DLC, like what it looked like. It was so funny. It was like, that was back in ye old fan site days. Like, he literally just copied the photos and just posted them without, like, tagging me, and I remember everyone getting mad at that but me. Just being like, can't believe you stole his photo. I'd be like, I mean, listen, guys, it's all from a video game I didn't make. I couldn't care less, but how the world changes in 2.5 years is always so fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, next little thing I wanted to ask you before we kind of get into questions. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where you're at right now, but for this game, because both of us are not getting the collector's edition, correct?
Spencer, the fact that you think I'm not getting the collector's edition, me being me?
I don't know, dude. Me being me, I'm saying no. I feel like that makes me think I don't even know anyone. So you ordered the collector's edition for this. So which system did you go for then?
I got it for PS5.
Have you already gotten your copy yet?
Not yet. I know, like, the base copies have gone. I haven't seen any.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to bring up. I've seen a ton of Xbox, and I've seen a ton of Switch. I haven't seen any physical PS5 copies yet early.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's, like, a holdup with that one or whatever. But my other thing I was going to ask is, do you have a plan for how you want to own this? Because, like, I'm in a weird situation with P5R where obviously I want to own the Steelbook. The collector's edition I'm more than fine skipping on, because something in me tells me I'll be able to buy that for, like, half off in a year and a half. But like with all of the day one edition just being the same steelbook, obviously now we know the Switch version is thankfully Switch size. I'm like, I don't know, do I just buy all three day one steelbook editions? Like, do I just get two and then I just have one random plastic case? Like, I'm not sure what I want to do because I know at the end of the day I want a Xbox copy, PS5 and Switch, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to do it. But for you, are you interested at all in double dipping for a Switch physical?
I've been considering it. Maybe some point down the line, not now though.
I will say, always interesting with Atlas, they are pretty good about doing this where if you buy the physical day one edition, you do have an option to not get the steelbook because the steelbook edition only comes in a steelbook with a slipcover. But it is always interesting, like at launch, they always do kind of have that option immediately available. I'm not sure how hard the steelbook is going to be to find. I doubt it will be very difficult to find, let alone like. Yeah, just because the thing most people don't know about steelbooks is they have such a crazy high minimum for print quantity that like it's really hard for a steelbook that's sold as like a day one edition to be rare right away. But it'll be interesting. Once again though, I do want to say because we didn't know this last week. Very happy Atlas at least did make a Switch sized case copy. I don't know why they couldn't confirm that forever, but. Is interesting. It is at least interesting to see.
I remember the friggin' pandemonium with the Strikers Switch Steelbook.
Well, remember that was the opposite, where the Switch one was the only one we had announced until like the last minute we got PS4.
You're right. Yeah. I remember getting a PS4 copy. That's why I have both. I remember getting a PS4 copy of the game, but. Still buying the Switch Steelbook.
Oh yeah, getting it separately because they had a couple of those on sale for like $10.
Yeah, exactly. So I have the Switch Steelbook and I don't have P5 Striker for Switch.
Very random Steelbook aside, I was at Best Buy recently and I thought of you because guess what I found in the clearance bin?
Oh.
The Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga Steelbook that both you and I failed miserably at getting last April.
Uh-huh.
I guess they must have reprinted some or found some in a random warehouse somewhere. They were there. It was like $10 to get them, but it was one of those things of like, because you remember how it looked like with the Han Solo Kryptonite thing?
Yeah. The carbonite.
So have you seen that Steelbook in person ever?
No, I know it's like.
It's extremely glossy, and it was just covered in fingerprints and scratches without ever having left the store. It was very underwhelming to see, and it sucked to see.
Because that reminds me of I think the first Steelbook I ever got was when I originally got P5, and like that copy I still got because the guy was just like, I don't know, do you want this? We have it. That is easily the most beat up Steelbook I've ever seen. So I don't even want to imagine. It's not even that bad, but like.
No, I definitely get that. But let's check out a couple of the live YouTube questions we have here before we get into our treasure trove of stuff we have to get to. Let's see here. Yes, Mario plus Rabbids was confirmed for Game Pass. Let's see things we haven't already talked about here. Kind of related, Marcy Mousy says, the Xbox marketing has been insane for this game. I can't remember the last time I've seen this much marketing. I will say, Nintendo and Xbox have been pushing this game hard, which is hilarious because there has been nothing from PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I was curious, like, how much have you been seeing in your time? Because, like, for me, it's basically every ad I get on YouTube or Twitter is either from Xbox or Nintendo pimping this game.
No, yeah, it's been perpetual, which, I mean, I'm happy about it. I freaking love this game. Because Nintendo did a pretty decent push for SMT5, like, right around the time it was actually releasing. Nothing for Soul Actors 2. No one did anything for that. But I'm glad they're very aware that, like, this is this is going to sell gangbusters again for the third time?
I think it will definitely sell well. I'm curious to see how it sells just because it's releasing at such an interesting time. I think it'll do good on Switch in the first week. I think Game Pass will be great for residuals on that first year of just getting new people to play. I wonder, like, where it's going to chart on PlayStation, how it's going to do on the Steam like chart sales, this month of sales. I'll be very curious just because there's a lot of other things kind of to distract from it, you know? Like, honestly, even we joked about it earlier, right now Mario plus Rabbids is charting higher on it worldwide sales than P5R for Switch. So it'll be interesting to kind of like see how it all like works out for, like, I think it'll definitely be the best selling Atlas game this year bar none. But, like, will it have legs, you know? Like, do you think, like, we'll be going into November and people will still be, like, eating this game up as we go into Black Friday?
I feel like obviously everyone kind of always points to, like, oh, game on Switch, game sell. Genuinely, though, I think this has been built up enough, and obviously you have, like, the Smash fan base sitting there. I think it's gonna be
I've been waiting patiently for 4 fucking years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Smash Ultimate is like almost 4 years old.
Smash fan excited to play favorite series Persona 5 for the first time after 4 dusty years.
Yeah.
You know what would be nice? It won't happen because we know these things well and ahead of time. It would have been awesome to see Nintendo reprint the Joker amiibo so he's not over $100 gosh damn dollars.
Yeah. Listen, I lucked out early on. I could already tell what direction that was going. I bought 2.
It's funny, I have the weirdest regret for it. I don't know if we were friends at the time. Actually, I think we were. I bought, no shit, like 5 Joker amiibos, and I gave them all away except mine. Like, they were all used for giveaways because it was like $16 for a Joker figure. It's like, oh, this is a perfect giveaway toy.
No, because I remember I also did, way back, because I got 2 for myself. 1 still in box, 1 out of box. And then I got 2 more for a giveaway. And then, oh my gosh, I feel like I have. Have I told you about my my Persona Q2 amiibo?
No. Is this a thing?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so strap in for this.
Oh god,
folks. There was a situation that happened. I'd like to say, what would it have been, like late 2018, where a Twitter account showed up where they were doing like 3D modeling of like, oh yeah, I'm making custom amiibos, and I'm doing like, you know, like Persona Q2 figures of like Joker, Futaba, Makoto, stuff like that. I think they did some other series as well, but that was like the focus. And they're like, yeah, no, like if you want us to, like this to be sold, you know, I can like print them out, and we'll like custom like paint them and ship them in their own like custom box, and it'll be all cool. Me being a young, naive kid, I'm like, you know, I say kid, I was like 17, 18. I was like,
I'm a 90-year-old man, very passionate.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy this. What could be the harm in it? This is really cool. And, you know, Joker's never getting an amiibo.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed I don't have pictures of this monstrosity yet.
Oh, I do. I can send them.
Please.
Because, let me see if I can...
While you're pulling a picture up, I want to at least say, because we talked about this earlier, She-Hulk, you made me think about with your Joker thing. She-Hulk has a great line. There's a character in it who's big into sneaker collecting, and he gets called out, and like one of the girls is like, why do you have 2? Like, don't you just need 1? He's like, 1 to rock, 1 to stock. And I'm like, that's like so perfect for so many things if you're into collecting. Like, 1 to rock, 1 to stock. Otherwise, but with the amiibo, instead of rocking it, you just put it in the mason jar, and the other one's to keep in the box.
Oh gosh, how old is this? I'm just like scrolling through my photos.
It can't be any more old than 2019, I would imagine.
No, it's definitely before 20. Yeah, okay, I found it.
Well, PQ2 was 2019. That's why I'm like, oh, it can't be older than PQ2.
It was the build up to Q2 releasing.
I'm just ready for
So,
this thing to look like it's made in Play-Doh.
oh no, you are not ready for this because this I along with the actual two Joker amiibos, I gave this away. I forget who exactly got it. Um, yeah, but I gave it away and I shipped it out because I kept making jokes about it on my Twitter. So yeah, here are some beautiful photos. I didn't get a proper photo of the full box, I don't think.
Oh my god, this
Yeah,
is the person still selling these?
no. So let me give the extent of the story. I don't know if you have any way to show this to
I will. Yeah, I'll pull it up. I can throw it into the stream. This is a treat.
oh man. Also we got Boss in the chat. Yeah, so what happened is I actually okay, a fun note. They got notoriety because Mr. Fansite himself retweeted them boosting their stuff.
Only
Yeah,
the
but
most official.
So it's unclear if this was the intent from the get-go for them or not. But what ended up happening is I guess demand got too high or they weren't able to match the quality they were aiming for as evident by the photo.
Oh, I was hoping yours was the highest quality they got to.
I think honestly was not far from that. So like you can even see those eyes are just stickers.
This is
So
amazing.
they initially were like, "Oh, if you message me, I'll give you like a refund, or I can promise like a more high quality version in the future, whatever." And then they didn't give anyone a refund, and they just bailed from the internet, and it was a scam.
Damn, man.
I don't know if that was the goal or not, but it happened.
This is like a piece of Atlas like fan history. You're gonna be telling your kids about this.
Dude, it's a classic.
I have it up on the stream. It's. I can't wait to see what the chat thinks of this thing.
Let me actually see if I can find their still.
Oh
I
my
remember,
god,
like,
that's awesome. While you're pulling that up, by the way, bad news, everybody. No one asked this question because, of course, there wouldn't be. I'm sad there's no Amiibo support. Like, you couldn't do anything, anything for that. That Joker Amiibo is so unused it hurts.
Yeah.
Bunny Might, my motto, says, I don't know if this has been answered already, but is there any way to make the color and saturation similar to the PS4 version, or at least not so dark on Switch? Bad news, Buster Brown. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. There are no screen options on Switch in terms of changing anything. And this leads to another question I'm surprised I haven't seen more people ask about. I'm aware this game is visually stunning and very presentation, like, off the charts. Actually offended there was no HDR added to this. Like, proper HDR would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Like, was that anything you think you would have cared about? Like, do you think, obviously, like, the game doesn't need it. Like, it still looks great without like proper HDR. Like, obviously, it's not like it's ray tracing where it's like we need the we need the Persona 5 reflections everywhere. But like, I think HDR would have been something kind of cool, especially with like all the darks and the color scheming of the game. I feel like it could have benefited from.
Yeah, like anything that can make a game this stylistic look prettier is always welcome. I don't know.
Chat saying, ew, what the fuck? What the fuck? The print looks awful. He looks dead. What's with this Amiibo?
Are you able to pull up the side profile I sent?
Yeah, let me get that one sent as well. Sleep Live says, Spencer, has anyone played the PC port? I don't know if anyone has had crash issues like Striker. Like I said, I'm very early on. I have not. I know someone, actually, I know 3 people who have beaten the game on PC. No major outstanding crashes, at least. So not any similar issues to like Strikers or what happened with trying to think. I think Ultimax also had weird crashing issues.
Also, Lelouch, that's not poor resolution. That's how it was built.
It was. I appreciate the commitment. It almost looks like it was actually going for 3DS resolution. I think that's pretty good, actually.
Exactly. it's symbolic.
It's like it's a metaphor. You see, it rhymes.
Mm.
But yeah, like a bit of a weird one in terms of everything with it. But honestly, not the biggest kind of deal breaker, because like this is another one I think I'd be curious about your touch. I think on Switch it looks ugly only by comparison of I know what this game looks like in 1080p and 4K, but like I still think as a Switch game it looks fantastic. I'm curious about you from what you played docked and undocked. Like, how did you feel about the colors? Because like for me, there were definitely moments of like, oh yeah, this is getting pretty low in the resolution front.
That's the thing. On the screen, like, yeah, like it's definitely lower resolution. If you're a Switch user and you want to play Persona 5, it's not going to be an issue. Like, you're gonna get over it. Undocked, honestly, I think it looks great. Like, the smaller screen definitely compensates. Playing on an OLED, it's just like really nice and colorful comparatively. I don't know. I never really had any major issues with the look undocked, at least. Docked, I get it.
I mean, I'm also coming off of back-to-back-to-back Xenoblade marathons, so I'm just kind of used to Switch games looking like they're all running at 200p, blown up to a 1080p screen. Flare of Legacy. By the way, do we know anything about the Rydo DLC? Okay, we talked about that one a little bit before, but they do bring up a great point. It is extra funny considering Soul Hackers 2 did literally just sell us Rydo costumes.
Yeah, but I think they knew that nobody worldwide was buying. No one was buying.
Listen, we all know Koreans are famous for hating on soul hacking. They hate hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Luma brings up another good point. Things they should have added to P5R Remastered. SMT5 costumes would have been amazing, but also probably not allowed yet. At least on Switch, that could have been a cool exclusive. Like, that would have been a good slash weird amiibo unlock.
Joker amiibo bonus or anything.
This is a weird one. I'm curious. No one really asked about it, but there are people who kind of ask about content. Like, is content added? And we went over there is no content added, but people are going to start discovering, because the files are there, of there's now new undiscovered cut content from Royal that'll be kind of making its way online shortly after release. I'm curious about two things. One, for you, when you find out about cut content, are you someone who's like, boy, I wish that was there, especially in this game that's been released for the third time? Or like how do you feel? Because for me, I'm pretty boring with my answer of like, honestly, cut content like that, I just don't care about, because like, would it have been cool to have all the unused dialogue for the romances and the bosses and everything else still be there? Of course, but like for me, I look at the game for what's there as opposed to what it could have been and not really hold it against it. Like, if that was the case, I would hate Zootopia, because I think the original version of Zootopia is way cooler than what we got, even though I love Zootopia.
I'm like 100% with you there. I think that stuff from like a development history standpoint is really fascinating. I think it's cool when you're able to add it back in, just as like, it's just interesting seeing that stuff there. But in terms of actual like wish fulfillment, like even like out of the things that I think would have been coolest to add in, like the Will Seed cutscenes for like flashbacks and stuff, would that have been cool? I guess. But I take the feature for what it is, how it's there, how it was implemented. I'm not playing wishful thinking. I think what's there already is great. I don't know. I don't like stress over it, because there are a lot of people who will go into games and be like, oh, but did you see what it could have been in the development history? Like, this game being a 7 out of 10 when it could have been a 10 now makes it a 2. I'm like, I don't care, just play the game.
Yeah, and I mean, like, honestly, I will say though, in one sense of criticizing it though, in a way that I do think makes sense, is the fact that with something like the Thieves Den, having dioramas there, I think you already have so much of the cutscenes kind of completed, let alone all the cut unused dialogue and voice lines. I always wondered why they never just threw that into the Thieves Den, because that seems like such an easy way to show that cut content and maybe give a little bit of commentary in terms of why it was cut out, why this is here, why that isn't there, because Royal was kind of supposed to be that, but then it still ended up having cut content, leads to you sort of wondering, like, what really happened here, you know?
I guess that's kind of the thing with kind of how Royal, like how Thieves Den is built, where it's definitely a celebration of P5 and kind of works as a little museum, but it's almost solely a museum of what does exist, rather than really going into the history of stuff that, like, there's tons of content art for P5. But the only stuff that you actually see in Thieves Den are the stuff that is like 99% representative of what we got.
It also makes me wonder, like, how many people are really aware of some of the history for these things. Like, how many people know that, like, the added areas to, like, Kamoshida's dungeon, like, where you find, like, one of his seeds of, like, will and stuff, like, those were all in original P5.
Yeah.
Like, those were all just done assets.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some more questions for us here. Again, in chat, if you guys have one, please throw them at me. But we're going to take the first couple from the SMTN Discord. I think we have probably the smallest amount on there. First one is from Phones, who says, why is 60 FPS such a huge upgrade for a turn-based RPG? I can understand for action games with a lot of movement, but I don't really get the obsession with RPGs where you're literally just standing there until you make a decision. So we kind of talked about that a little bit before, but I was curious for you, like, where do you kind of land on the RPGs, less specifically P5R, but RPGs being 60 FPS in general?
I mean, like, I don't think it's a necessity in the way it is for, like, an intense action game, like, especially like a shooter. Like, if you have a shooter at 30, just don't touch it. But like, for a turn-based game, it's not a necessity. It's just pretty. I just think it looks nice. That's about the extent of it. Like, that's why I say there's no bad version of the game. You don't need it to be 60 FPS. But if you just want, like, pretty smooth visuals, freaking go for it. There's not really a downside either way. You're not losing anything by playing the 30 FPS. Just like, if you want 60, you can get 60.
Like, the other interesting one is... The other interesting one is, like, I think you can also look at cases where it didn't happen, where it might have looked weird, but it led to it feeling more dated. I genuinely think Nocturne not being at 60 made it look more cheap.
Oh yeah, no, that port's silly.
So like, there are cases where, like, is it necessary? No, but is it, like, nice quality of life options? 100%.
I also will note, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the game speed tied to the frame rate in Nocturne?
There are some, like, games like that. Like, I think you might be getting that mixed up with... People were talking about that with Tales of Symphonia recently, of, like, how there are versions of Tales of Symphonia that, like, unless you're the GameCube version, they all just break unless they're at 60.
Uh-huh. I remember seeing that for that game, but maybe not.
A lot of those, like, PS2 era games were like that, unfortunately.
I saw that for the remaster specifically. They were saying that the remaster was stuck to the frame rate.
I mean, but then it gets into that weird one of, like, all right, is that because of the original code? Is that because of what we're doing in Unity? Is it because of the emulator?
Yeah.
Like, there are so many little weird factors that can kind of get to.
Yeah.
So,
just odd.
Next one we have is by the 8th Arc. Says, question, for those of you who've already owned P5R on PS4, what reason would you say is there to double dip and get the re-released version? Should we double dip or not double dip? What are your thoughts on this? So I have a very... I probably have a different opinion than you, but I'm not necessarily sure. How do you feel about... We're both people who played the holy hell out of P5R, for people out there who have played this already on PS4 and can play this anywhere or somewhere already, what would you tell them?
I mean, like, I don't know if our opinions are that different. Like, you don't have to. Like, the only incentives I can really think of, again, like, if you want to experience the DLC or just want like a fresh experience with it in general, then go for it. If you're satisfied with your experience with the PS4 game, you don't need to. Like, the only noticeable change, like, that you're really going to get addressed across all versions, which is the one I kept joking about a lot. The all-out attack noise is no longer deafening.
I hope somehow, like, you search on like Thursday night or Friday. I want you to just search on Twitter like all out attack noise and like see if anyone else besides you notices that got fixed. You're like the only one I noticed who like messaged me about that noise being like properly balanced.
This is how I know that no one else has actually played Persona 5. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. You're calling them out. You're calling them out for the frauds they are.
Listen, that noise in the PS4 version is unmistakable because it goes from like 10 decibels
like that,
to, like,
just right in your ear.
Exactly. And now it's fixing. I don't know why it was like that in the PS4 version.
They just wanted you to wake up from how painfully slow some of the battles are. Clearly, that was what they were trying to get to.
They want you to wake up, get up, and get out there.
Wake up, get out there, make an ear appointment. You have tinnitus.
Exactly. Yeah, but like you don't need the new version. No peer pressure here. But I think every single port that I've experienced so far is very good. Actually, okay, that's another thing. If you are really, really, really into the modding scene, I guess get the PC version.
I don't know, man. Like, I can't imagine there's that many people. I can't imagine there's that many people out there who are like, the reason they want to buy P5R for $60.
You would be surprised, sincerely. I have met so many people who
at that point, why not just tell them to play it on Game Pass? That's all I'm gonna say.
You know, that's fair.
Nav Deep, is the game locked to 30 FPS on Switch? Yes, it is, but also, as we talked about before, the game is also locked to 60, so you can lord it over that you're playing the Zack Snyder approved version of P5R on the Switch. You can lord it over them.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Questions now from Facebook. We have by Maria Yang. Waiting for the PC port, and can you can now easily play the game. If you want to. Waiting on the PC port, but right now you can easily play the game on Switch with an emulator. Someone kind of brought this up, and I was curious what you thought about this. I can't think of a game that's just been more out there without anyone really caring early than this game leaking on Switch. Now, obviously, don't pirate Switch games that aren't already... I mean, don't pirate games at all. Like, in terms of, if they're not out yet, hey, at least, like, buy it or, like, have a plan to buy it. Don't just pirate it. Because that sucks, and that makes you a lot less likely to support companies and all the teams that work on it. But for you, I was curious, like, I had so many people who went up to me and were like, hey, why has P5R been on, like, Switch download sites for, like, 2 weeks now? And it really just, to me, kind of just comes across as, like, I just don't think anyone cares, because it's a 3-year-old game.
Yeah, like 3-year-old at minimum. I don't know. I think there's inherently kind of a sketchiness in general to people getting review codes or early stuff like that just to leak them out there. But again, what is there new that's really groundbreaking?
The only kind of interesting one I would say is the fact that because, like, obviously I was surprised, as I always am, unfortunately, when Atlas is like, hey guys, our game's about to come out, don't stream it ever, or if you do, don't stream it after this point. I'm curious, because like, I haven't gotten to this point yet in the story. I'm planning on streaming as much as possible a playthrough on P5, on my PS5. Do you think they're still going to restrict cutscene and footage from the third semester? like they did on PS4?
I don't know.
Because they didn't restrict anything. Wait.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think. On Soul Hackers 2, I don't think anything is restricted.
No, they did. They did.
Is it the final boss?
I'm trying to remember when it happens. You definitely get restricted near the final boss. If not, like...
No, because I remember I could take screenshots and I could record footage.
It might have literally been the final boss then.
Okay. But for the most part, you can stream everything in Soul Hackers 2, and that was a brand new game.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see if they still have a stick up their butt. I hope not, because I always hate when games restrict you from native streaming, because it's like, especially in a world we live in with capture cards and stuff, it's like
what's
how
the point of having them?
I mean, I remember, like, seriously, when I was playing SMT5, and when you're in the final dungeon, they restrict you from taking screenshots. I was like, what? I didn't even know the Switch could do that.
No, yeah, exactly, because only Atlas.
Well, I mean, I will say...
It's Atlas and, like, Smash.
Well, what's funny is, like, there are games, like, that came out before the Switch let you record video, because you had to patch in the ability to let you do video for some games. So, like, fun fact, Xenoblade 2, you could just never record video. They just never updated it to let you record video for no reason.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. I don't get it.
Next one here we have is by Baz, who says, wanting to know how it performs on Xbox Series X, how are the loading times? So for all of you guys who are curious, interesting note, Series X runs great, runs as good as PS5. PS5 still, like, just a smidge faster. I would... pretty much every loading screen with my Series X, I would always see the take your time for like a split second, but I would almost never see it on PS5. So not as fast, but like native hard drive still runs really, really good, and still Series X 60 flawless, no slowdown, no big deal there. The other interesting one I wanted to say was very surprised. Loads are longer on Series S, but still 60 it was a nice touch. Let's see here. No, YouTube, I will not insert ads, because we're not going to be Twitch and run 6 straight minutes of ads here to make 10 pennies off people. When you're live streaming on YouTube, Ozzy, sometimes it'll just be like, hey, you got a lot of people in here. You might want to throw an ad in there. Notice okay. No one's throwing a super chat in a while. You might want to throw a chat. You might want to throw a commercial break in there.
Real quick thing I do want to mention, I just remembered. If you are not rushing to play P5 again, but you are at least interested in this port, just wait a couple months.
Oh,
it will be like $20.
Definitely,
you know.
Yeah. These games are not known for holding their value $60 wise. Oh, actually, I think I totally forgot to answer the part of the question of the double dip thing. I will say this. If you are someone who has played this game on PS4 and are like me and don't plan on doing a full playthrough at at launch, wait till a price cut. Like, this is a great way to play this. They're all great. Like, if you've never played it before, pick it up. It's awesome. But if for the double dippers out there, 100,000% wait for a price cut, because there's no way you're gonna look at me in the eye and say I have nothing else to play except P5R again.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, you're talking to me here.
Scorn.
That's like
you could be playing Scorn. Why aren't you playing Scorn?
Dude, we could be hopping on Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
That's true. We still got to play the Hugh Neutron DLC. Forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next question is by... Talked about Switch performance. Talked about it compared to PS4. Any information about the Switch DLC? Good news. Even on Switch, you get all the DLC, and it's right there. No download needed. Let us see here. That is it for the Facebook ones, but then I know the Twitter kids and the YouTube kids had a whole bunch of comments. So we're going to do YouTube first. And again, if you're watching live, please feel free to throw in a comment if I forget to do this. Oh, here we go. Minato Aristo says, Totally forget you're going live with this. Do the ports keep the Easter egg where you can pet Morgana, driving him in Mementos? So, I couldn't find a way to do it on Xbox. I'm not sure if you've gotten there on Switch and rubbed the screen. I haven't tried that yet. Have
Not
you?
yet. Not yet.
To my knowledge, it's not there, but I know it's there still on the PS5 one. I wouldn't be surprised if on Switch it's with the touchscreen, but I haven't gotten to Mementos yet and tried that.
No, maybe that's what the Joker amiibo does. You just put it on your
That would be
Pro controller.
the most I don't even know if that's amazing or just excessive. Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie, I think that would be one of the most weirdly clever and hilarious things I've ever seen for an amiibo.
The only way to do it on Xbox, you need to hook up your Kinect and just wave the TV screen.
You gotta hook up your Skylanders portal.
Oh, listen, there'll be 5 of us doing that. You know they will. Let's see though. Oh, actually, another question that someone asked in the live chat. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but I do remember it. Someone was asking, did the other platforms keep the motion controls for the darts? I've not gotten to the darts on there yet. I don't think so.
I assume so for Switch.
I know on PC it is just you're moving the analog stick without the little gyro thing with it. Same with Xbox because that's not there. Switch, I'm not sure. Flare of Legacy, yeah, I think that was you with the question. But yeah, if it is there with Joy-Cons, I would be surprised. I'll try and update soon. I plan on putting more time into the Switch one a little bit before my video going up on Thursday night, Friday morning-ish. So hard to say, but I mean, if it's there, cool. If not, it's darts. It's a cool minigame, but obviously it's not a huge deal breaker.
Most people don't play that minigame with the motion controls to begin with.
I was surprised how good the motion controls worked on PS4 back in the day.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. Most people don't because that's the meta.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to win, you're not going to use the motion controls generally.
Oh, here's a good one also. Minato says, how does it run on the Switch's battery? It's not a battery hog, and never once while playing it did the fan get loud for me. I got at least a solid 5 hours of playing it undocked for me on my OLED. How about you?
Oh yeah, no, I think 5-6 hours honestly, same. Because the day I started my Switch run, I was out of the house for a while, so I was just sure, I'll start this up. And I was waiting for the battery to just chug, and I got an hour in, and I was 82%, okay. It's going strong generally.
Mm-hmm.
That was on OLED, to be fair, so a normal Switch obviously will have, not as good of a battery, but even still.
I don't know why I appreciate this line from Lelouch. OLED kind of busted. Just that should be a back of the box quote for Nintendo to use. I don't know, man. They're just saying if you need a reason to buy the Switch OLED, it's kind of busted. That's all I'm saying. I mean, have you seen that Pokemon OLED?
Also, real quick thing as well from live chat from Jopo, where he asked, "Is the blood on On's face a random aesthetic decision?" Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was a visual glitch.
Yeah, we were able to see with the PC one that was just a texture glitch for whatever reason. I think you're going to ask the other Jopo question. I'm curious if you know which detail they're talking about. There's a detail in the third semester cutscene that I'll be very confused if they don't fix if they went in and changed something like On's Awakening. So, curious which... Yeah, curious. If you're able to say it without spoilers, feel free, Jopo, to put it in the chat. Sleep says...
Worst case scenario, DM me, Jopo. I know where you live.
Other interesting one by Sleep Live says, do you think this will change the multi-platform purpose or for other Persona games? I'm full no. Persona will take an exclusivity deal in a heartbeat. The only reason this is getting put on everything is because a lot of companies paid for this to be put on other platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. I can honestly see Persona 6 being exclusive to one or a couple consoles. So we'll see. Another thing I mentioned, but I don't remember who, someone mentioned it before. Do you think we're getting physical copies at all for Persona 3 and 4? There's kind of a
Yeah, there've been some news with that recently with the release date of coming in January. I need to poke a couple more people I know who are there, at like Atlas West. As of now, I haven't had this confirmed to me in a couple of months, but the last time I had heard anyone say anything is there's no plan for a physical copy of Persona 3 and 4 separately. There will be a physical bundle of 3 and 4 on PlayStation and PS4, I assume, because they did one for P5 on Xbox. Xbox would also be included there. But right now, we don't know how they're going to be doing it. It's been explained to me that it'll be a dual release, like in a steelbook, much like with the Platinum 10th Anniversary bundle. Right now, though, I'm wondering because obviously P5 is not even out yet, so we're not going to get pre-orders for P4 and P3 probably until November, December.
December, yeah.
But because remember, we didn't get P5 until what, September?
Yeah,
a month ago.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm not sure if it'll go to retail, and I wonder. I think, unlike the P5R Collector's Edition, I think this would be a perfect thing to put as a Shop Atlas exclusive. It would piss a lot of people off. I think it should go to retail, but it would probably explain why we haven't heard a lot about it of hey, throw this up there for a $40, $50 steelbook thing. You can do a gaudy collector's edition or whatever and hopefully have some cool stuff in there this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being that way, but at least as of now, the West will have a physical bundle, but we still gotta wait until pre-order info is out there. So keep letting Atlas know you want it. I hope it goes to retail, but we still gotta wait and see.
I'm scared at even hearing the sentence "Shop Atlas Collector's Edition" or Steelbook or whatever.
Well, you bought it. You're clearly the problem.
No, I know I'm the problem, which is why it scares me. Because now I'm expecting Persona 3 and 4 bundle, $200, comes with a sticker of Yu Narakami's jacket.
I hope it's I hope it comes with a "Hi, my name is" name tag sticker, and it just says "Sees Boy" and "Boy with Glasses."
Exactly, and we'll get they'll advertise it as having the Narakami glasses in the bundle, and you get it, and it's just stuck to a stand.
Oh man, my gosh. Well, we just got in the live chat and actually just got to their question on YouTube. Char is a basket case. Got a couple of questions here. We talked about it already before. How does Royal run on Switch handheld v dock? Both are great. Any frame drops? I didn't notice any, and I did get to test a couple of the more NPC heavy areas like the cities. I didn't notice any frame drops or anything in battle. Did you ever have anything while playing on Switch in terms of dropped frames at all?
No, I didn't notice anything, honestly.
Gotcha.
So good on Sega for that port. Good on the Olympic Games.
They had a lot to prove after their last two games were absolute dumpster fires of sales and performance.
COVID gave them a lot of time to think about their decisions.
Let me see here. We have another one by Ferez Deco. It says, I've got two questions. Are there any cross-save features like how PS3 and PS4 had from PS4 to PS5? No, sadly. But Xbox One and Series X do have cross-play and cross-save. So if you're playing with Game Pass or on PC with the Microsoft Windows Store and Xbox, anything you do on Xbox or PC and vice versa instantly gets upgraded and cross-saved and uploaded to each other. So those ones are pretty good. By the way, bad on Atlas. Obviously, I wasn't expecting PS5 to be a free upgrade, even though that would have been nice. Not having cross-save is just stupid. There's really no reason they couldn't have transferred saves.
Yeah, no, it's really unfortunate.
Number two, though, how is the Xbox One version compared to the PS4? So like I mentioned before, not as good of resolution, but again, we're talking about base Xbox One, a pretty rough system. Obviously, it looks better than the Switch and still runs 30 FPS, but more than fine in terms of playable. You won't be seeing people roasting each other for playing Xbox One versus PS4. V Bandit 47 says, "What does the Showtime button prompt look like on Xbox and Switch? What button does it use? I know on the PlayStation version it was the touchpad. I got unfortunately because Persona 5 Royal literally drip feeds its new content. I don't know if you've gotten to that yet,
I have
Ozzy.
not.
So unfortunately, it's not that exciting, everybody. It's literally just select or whatever the equivalent of select is on your system. So minus button, Xbox left select whatever option button that thing's called. It's
Okay,
oh yeah.
on a related note, not to undercut that, but it's just the select button. You've seen the keyboard control scheme for battles, right?
No, actually, I haven't. What does it look like? I've only done on PC controller support.
Because I loaded it up on PC with keyboard just out of sheer curiosity because I needed to know. If you wanna share this image with the class as well, you're free to do so.
I want you to know you sending me images involves me bringing it up to my phone, sending it to my wife on Facebook, and then downloading it on my computer. That's how low tech we are right now today.
So perfect. All right, yeah, here. It's so bad. Here you go.
Let's see. Does Nom's Compendium have the Nom handle? Okay, good. He does. Well, I'm pulling it up. I decided I'd be nice and say, "Where's that Soul Hackers 2 review, Nom?" I got very offended by his update this week because he's finishing it up, and I loved it. I've never put this much effort into a game I didn't like.
Gosh.
Oh my god!
Listen,
all right.
All I'm saying, history would have been different if I was with him on that spoiler cast.
That is true.
Would have been a better. There would have been more love.
I bet your mic would have been good. Oh, okay. I'll pull the. What a weird. Gun W, Persona E, Guard C, Attack.
I tried playing it. It is nonsense.
This does not look real. This looks like someone like made an image up. Lelouch, I will pull up your question. I'm just sending the definitely probably fake image now to the OBS feed so you guys can see this and not see Dollar Store Joker. Have I left Dollar Store Joker just on the screen? Okay, good, I didn't.
Yeah, no, you took him off a little bit ago.
Could probably get copyright claim by the original owner of that one. Alright, let us open this bad boy. And who is this from? Just because I appreciate them having File Explorer, Minecraft, and then Steam. You know their priorities are in order there.
Oh yeah, that's my priority.
Perfect. I was like, this gives me big Adam vibes here. Getting big Adam vibes with Minecraft being at the bottom limit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so OBS. Let's get. I think no. We'll leave the BRB image. I'll regret it if I get rid of the BRB image. There we go. Oh my god, this is so big. What is this resolution? Do you send me like an 8K picture of your computer screen?
Listen, that's just how good the new Persona ports are.
It is so jaggy, which makes it look even worse. All right, everybody. Enjoy the cursed nature of Persona Gun W. Let everyone sink that in as I try and find Lelouch's second question here.
I do love watching on stream. You slowly trying to.
That's all I can do. I'm only a man. Let's see, Spencer, does having a save and Smash Ultimate do anything for Switch? No, the game doesn't do anything. Oh, that's another one that would have been cool. If they added music from P5S, because remember, if you had a save for P5 and P5R, you got music from P5. Super lame. I forgot all about that. That would have been cool to add in something from Strikers.
Wait, sorry, what was that again?
Lelouch was asking if you have a Smash Ultimate save, do you get anything? Or if you have a P5 Strikers save, do you get music? And I was like, that would have been such a great thing to add. Because Strikers was on all those platforms except Xbox.
Mm. Yeah, that would have been cool. I
Let's
guess the
see.
Xbox
Here's an
inclusion.
interesting one I've been asked. I'm curious how you'd feel. I can answer this for Xbox, but I'd be curious for you. How did you feel playing this on Switch? Like on Joy-Cons, or were you doing Pro Controller?
Honestly, like I've been mainly playing with Joy Cons of all things, which is weird because like I had not touched Joy Cons in friggin' years. Uh, Honestly, really nice. It like again, it's not a high intensity, high action game. And like Joy Cons while undocked are really nice. So yeah, no, it's been like just like at worst, I think the stick placement of the right Joy-Con inherently is just kind of annoying. Um, so like maybe turning the camera is less optimal than on a normal controller. But like I don't know, if you're used to that, it plays perfectly fine.
So here's a funny one, and this kind of also ties into Xbox and Switch and PlayStation with DualSense. So much like with Soul Hackers 2, Xbox and PC only really have just vibration of like a normal, not a lot really going on. DualSense has a noticeable difference. No, like DualSense actually like you can feel the difference between using a gun and attack and the other vibrations they use in battle. Joy-Con still has that actually with the HD Rumble, which I thought was interesting of how they implemented it in terms of comparing it. I like the DualSense implementation with the vibration, but I think the HD Rumble is good. I will say, once I have then gone back to the Xbox One, their vibrations feel really weak, because mostly the Xbox controllers are really good for shooters, because they have a vibrating rumble in the like triggers. But if that's not ever being used, because like that works really good for racing and for shooting games, but for like something like an RPG, like you're never using L2 R2, it never really comes up at all. So I think the Xbox controller, I will say, it is only weird. I'll say this: it would probably have felt weird if I hadn't played Soul Hackers 2 on an Xbox. But like, yeah, seeing like the button commands for the colored Xbox controller was weird, just because of that sense of like you're so used to
Yeah.
seeing it with the PlayStation like symbols, you know?
Well, it also gets more surreal considering on PS4 they used to all be colored.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now with the new ports, all of the icons are now just white because obviously there's no colored buttons on the DualSense. So in every single version of the game, all the icons are white except for Xbox now. So it really throws it off, especially with how vibrant the colors for the Xbox buttons are.
Mm-hmm.
It's
No, for
very
sure. Interesting question here. Urmeshi Trev, are there any quality of life features added to the game besides DLC being free and the game running at 60 FPS on certain consoles? No additional quality of life stuff, but I'm curious for you, Ozzy. Is there any quality of life changes you would have liked to see them implement in terms of nothing content-wise being added, but something of how the game is played you think would have helped it?
I mean, I'm gonna milk this joke for the last time, but them fixing that soundbite for all out attacks greatly improved my quality of life. Um, no, but like otherwise, I I don't know. Let me think. I can't think of anything like out the gate that like really needs a major quality of life fix. Like,
I have a weird one, but I'm not sure how you'll feel about it. I think they would have gotten a lot of brownie points if they had announced they were retooling the difficulty balance. Because the fact that nothing has been changed balance-wise is kind of like that sucks. That's like the lazy option.
yeah, I guess I know. Okay, honestly, again, like you were saying, not many people are into mods. I have seen a lot of people really excited solely for the fact of getting difficulty mods for Royal, which honestly I'm really hyped for that whenever like a really good one comes out. Um yeah, no, I can see that though.
Also, thank you, Nom. While over here at the breaking PC
Oh,
news. Yeah.
sorry, he's trying to upstage me here. Wow.
By the way, I'm not sure if you're like away from your microphone, but it sounded like you've slowly started eating your microphone.
Oh, weird. I got further from it.
So, yeah, Nam, thank you for the heads up. If you're playing on PC with a PS4 controller, the buttons are still colored, so thank you. Also, Lelouch, I appreciate you bringing up Nuzlocke. That was like the first thing I thought of when Ozzy were like custom difficulty will just be like people are gonna just make Persona 5 Royal Nuzlocke a thing.
I mean, honestly, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, here's an interesting one by MJ Player 64. Is there any additional download for the DLC on Switch? No, but do you need to use the Switch Online for the Thieves Guild? Yes, unfortunately. But also, here's a weird one, because I don't know how much you've noticed this, Ozzy. I hate that the Switch disconnects from the Thieves Guild anytime you go to the main menu. Or you turn your Switch off and you go away from like online for a moment. It like do you remember how like when we were playing Splatoon and like I would check my friends list to like add somebody and then I would just be kicked out of the party? It does it like that. If you're in the main menu for like more than 5 seconds, you get disconnected from online. Then you have to go into the menu and reconnect Thieves Guild every time.
Yeah, Switch is weird about that because it very much like when you close out of a game, it's like, oh, the game's still running, not the servers though. Screw you. It's very weird. I don't get it.
But like some games handled it better, but like this like P5R literally just gives you a error code. It just tells you, hey, you messed up, blah blah blah. Last couple of questions here. We're gonna wrap up with Twitter questions, and then we're gonna free you to go on to the rest of your night, Ozzy, which I think is just going to be crying in front of a college textbook.
Of course. Okay. Honestly, not inaccurate. I will very quickly answer one thing to the live chat. Jesse was wondering how a Nuzlocke would work because demons don't have individual health. Easy. Every time Joker's weakness gets hit, lose a persona. Anytime that your party members die, they're gone.
I think you just turned a Nuzlocke run into a masochist run.
Exactly.
First one we have here is by Luke. Says, are 3D cutscenes also running in 60 FPS? I'm guessing the animated 2D ones are still locked to 30 or 24, whatever they were originally at. Yes, so all the 3D cutscenes that are being played, basically anything that's not an anime cutscene, are all running in engine and running at whatever system speed you're going to have. So 30 on Switch and Xbox One, same with PS4, and then 60 FPS on those other systems that can all afford it. It would be hilariously jarring if all... Because, like, P5R has a lot of those, like, animated cutscenes. Like, not the we're walking around using portrait cutscenes, but, like, the big ones. The I'm jumping off the school roof cutscenes, as I like to call them. Let's see. Burn says, oh, nope, we answered that one. That was about the On Awakening thing. Let's see here. Eevee Sona, we talked about the load times and petting Morgana. Let's see. Makoto says, how are the cutscenes and gameplay for the palaces on Switch? I mean, really, kind of going back to the whole Switch thing. It's
a good port.
It's nice because you don't like. There's never those moments of being like, "Oh yeah, feels compromised." Like it just feels like a good way to play it. Like they made it so all those dumb memes about your Switch lighting up on fire don't like they're not true. Which I mean, like I never really like outside of just like leaning into the jokes. I always knew this was a pretty old game and knew the Switch could have ran it even back in 2017. But this clearly goes to show, like, this is a port that is almost in some ways technically superior to its original on weaker hardware, which I think really just has to go to show, like, what a good job they kind of just did with the tools they had available, right?
That actually reminds me, I don't know how the file size scales on Switch comparatively, but like I think they genuinely just optimized a bunch of stuff with the game because even including the DLC with everything, I believe the PS5 version is smaller than the PS4 version.
So it is and it isn't. So here's some fun. I'm glad you brought up file size because I actually have info about this. So on PlayStation 5, the game is smaller than PS4 because you are only downloading the version that you want to play. Even though it supports English, French, Italian, Spanish, German, and Japanese, you are only able to use English unless you download the other language packs. So even though all that content's there, you only download the stuff that you need, which I think is really smart in terms of optimizing it and making it smaller. Switch, I will say, the fact that they fit this like 40 gig game into 14 gigs without making it look like garbage, like even though we said like obviously the resolution takes a noticeable hit, there's no content missing. Like this goes up there with one of those holy shit ports.
Yeah.
Like, it fit on a 16 gig cart, which is like the big one that publishers always try and get it to fit on. The audio's not compromised. For the most part, the 2D visuals like don't look blurry. The fact that really only the 3D assets just look a little bit lower resolution is a really big testament. Like, there are so many voiced lines, bits of dialogue, unique assets. Like, it's a bitch to try and optimize something like this that heavily. So I think they did a really good job. Obviously, Xbox also is smaller than PlayStation, but again, this just goes to the fact that like they can optimize that code more and kind of with the PS5 really only need those assets that you absolutely have to use. So yeah, like again, like this team's not going to get the credit they probably should, but it is a technically impressive, even though it is on face value, a boring port. But damn, they did a really good job making this game look good, though, on everything.
It is a surprisingly good port. That's what I'll say. It's not groundbreaking, but it's much more than I think it needed to be. At least on like a base technical level, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Flare Legacy brings up No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is impressive. It runs. No Man's Sky is ugly. Like, I would never tell someone to play No Man's Sky on Switch if they had a PS4. But if you had a PS4 and a Switch, I'd say, dude, you're not missing out on anything playing on this.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't think this port is kind of that thing that, people kind of thought it would be if this happened. Or like, the meme of, oh, like, look, Doom Eternal, Witcher 3 is running on the Switch, guys. Look, it's like, is it though? It's on the Switch, but like, is it really running? It's like at a light jog at best. No, this is basically, other than resolution, no compromises.
It is kind of funny. It is funny. Like someone in the Twitter questions, Heliofane says, "Does it suffer performance problems like similar to SMT5? Like even though they are similarly playing games, they're so different and obviously literally running on different engines. But it is so funny of like." The games that Atlas have on Switch that have like no performance issues at all are like the ones you would kind of least expect it to, like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, flawless. I mean, even that's not 60 though, to be fair. But like Catherine, pretty much great outside of like a few really, really, really tiny little things on there for it. But then like the really demanding ones or boring ones like Nocturne or SMT5, people might think, oh, the Switch just can't handle this. I guarantee you guys, the Switch could handle 60 FPS Nocturne. Guaranteed. I mean, actually going into one of the things Lou should ask about overclocking your Switch, obviously you can't do it on a unmodded system, but the Switch can even handle 60 FPS. It just obviously, it suffers in enough places that it wasn't worth it to force it that way the whole time. So it is kind of that interesting thing of like, listen, like it's a powerful system, but like for best optimization possible. Because like one of the things you're not going to see on a Twitter video, you're going to see P5R running at 60 FPS with very little bits of lag and think, oh, what's the big deal? Why didn't they release it in 60 FPS? it goes to those things of like, okay, it probably destroys the battery. You can play it less time. It's going to like have probably like weirder little like technical hiccups. Like it's not designed for it, and it's easier just to kind of give it one little thing to go for. But yeah, like if you have it modded and you want to mess around with it, like yeah, there are tons of things for you to mess around with that. But kind of going back to what I said with the 30 versus 60 FPS, you're not missing anything playing it on 30 with the Switch.
No. Yeah, which I think a good, I guess, way to cap this off is just, again, if you haven't played Royal before, or, you know, you want to double dip, or, you know, you want the DLC, whatever, get it. If you're not compelled to, it's not a necessity. But, I don't know. If you have any interest, go for it.
Oh, man, this isn't our last question. This is a great one. Parker on Twitter, can I have hot gay sex with Yusuke or in the DLC?
Okay, so this might be a bad word.
Wait, man, where was the hot gay sex mod? That's all I'm saying.
Give it a week. Just give it a week.
Give it a week, guys. We pretty much have got them all. I'm just checking to make sure anything else. Clora asked, is difficulty still fucked on some versions compared to vanilla? If you think Royal sucks, it's the same as Royal. So, bad news there. Acna FR2. Here's an interesting one that's up my alley. Trophy list. Anything changed at all? Unfortunately, no. I would have loved the new trophies, but it is the exact same list of achievements and everything else from the PS4 version. So it's an easy plat, but nothing exciting. So you're not going to miss anything too crazy. Very easy to get this platinum in one go. But I will always say, even though it does have a pretty easy and doable list of achievements, don't sleep on the achievements in the Thieves Den. There are a ton of optional achievements there, and also tons of content you'll never experience if you're only looking at the trophies. Like I don't know, like how many people out there know that Jose is a boss fight in the third semester?
I'm surprised how many people missed that, honestly. But like honestly, something I've kind of always loved about Royal is it basically having two different achievement lists, where one is like honestly one of the easiest atlases ever made, just like a really quick, easy, just play through the game right, do a couple extra things, you get a platinum. And then Thieves Den, which is like for the dedicated players who really want to strive.
If you have 100% achievements in the Thieves Den, you're a real one. That's all I'm saying.
I've still never even managed that, mostly because I haven't had the time to just sit down and play through Royal since release. Until now. But I think I think there's a reward for doing that, right? Isn't it like the compendium becomes free or something? I could be wrong. I've still never seen it though, because friggin' that's some effort. That's like two, maybe 3 playthroughs minimum to 100% that stuff.
And I mean, that's just free time. I mean, listen, I've got Scorn to play, guys. I don't got time for this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Big disagree. Big disagree with Nom. There should be trophies for hitting both endings. Fuck no. One of the worst parts about Royal is that it lets you not get the third semester. I will never forget talking to Gabmew when she was reviewing, I think she was reviewing P5R when, or at least just playing the game when it came out. I forget if we had it early or not, but Gabmew was playing P5R and didn't get the, I think, final confidant thing for Akechi or like Marky, and then missed it and had to just replay almost the entire game. Because like you can just get vanilla P5's ending in Royal, and there's nothing different, and it's awful. The only thing it unlocks is the original ending cutscene in the cutscene viewer. There's no trophies. There's nothing tied to it. It's all, I absolutely hate. I mean, I hate the ending to P5 in general, but the fact that like there's no "do you want to go back and fix it" option is awful, and that's not changed in this version.
Okay, listen. One, still not taking Memento's depth disrespect. Nice try. Which I know I stand in a minority with that, but still. But listen, if you want that 100%, you gotta play the game 3 times. You gotta You got to do the original ending, and you have to get both variations of the royal ending.
Oh yeah, that is true. There are honestly, even the quote
Because the
unquote bad,
final
the
cutscene
quote
has that.
unquote bad ending in the royal ending, I like more than any version. In like, when have you ever heard
Oh
anyone?
no,
Oh, sorry,
I'm
what?
not even talking about the bad ending. The final cutscene has a tiny variation depending on one decision.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I forgot about that. Also, Jesse asked, and this is a good one for PC questions. No ultra wide support on PC, which yes can be annoying because I know a lot of people do have ultra wide monitors. That's such a like not easy thing to mod in, but like that's a really low priority thing. Like when it comes to like PC settings, I'm surprised if they have unlocked frame rate. Honestly,
Hmm. Also, Lelouch, I'm pretty sure you do get Satanile.
yeah, you do get Satanel. I'm trying to think. I mean, like I don't even know what I would have wanted them to change for the trophies, but like I guess maybe like other little things. Oh, I know there are some other weird ones. Fun things like that aren't tied to anything in the third semester. Like there's no benefit to getting the final persona evolutions, like the third forms. By the way, that's still such a weird one to me that those aren't voiced cutscenes. I hate that those are just silent in their bedrooms.
Yeah, which okay, that's the one thing. Like we kind of mentioned before, like regarding cut content. That's the one thing that I'm kind of like, I don't get it. Why? All of those are voiced. The voice lines for those are just in the code of the game. They're just not implemented. No clue why. That's just it. That's the one thing for cut content where I'm like, just put it in.
I know the answer to this for P5, and I assume the same rules apply to P5R. If Japan didn't want it to be voiced, America can't use it, even though they have English recorded already for it.
Okay.
Let's see. Nom wanted to see this for a change trophies to get players to do the most challenging aspects of the game by maxing out every. I'll say this.
That's
Maxing social links, I think, are stupid trophies. So I disagree to that. That's an opinion, though. Fighting the twins, I do think it is weird there are no super boss trophies. That's weird.
I think honestly it would have just been cool because one of my favorite things with trophies in just any game, but like especially Atlas games, is just getting you to learn about or like discover just cool little dumb secrets in the game. Friggin' like whether it's like
shout out to P5R. I never knew about the maid thing being different. Like when you go back to the maid cafe that many times, I never would have known that.
No, yeah, the maid cafe is cool. One thing that I literally didn't know about until my most recent playthrough of P5 was the drinks in the underground walkway that increase your social stats. Like, just teaching players about that, like, that's such a really cool, just bonus thing that if you're keeping track of your schedule, you can get a ton of points like that. And just like stuff like that, like more of that would have been cool.
Yeah, honestly, I think making a playthrough based around getting all the achievements can be kind of a double-edged sword. I think making a playthrough based around base Persona 5, that's not fun. Having to play every single day one certain way so you don't miss a certain costume or whatever, that's not necessarily fun to me, but I think P5R does a good like way of it of, hey, it doesn't matter if you hang out with Gamer Kid, alcoholic girl number 3, or like random shogi player in the church. Like you can choose to do whatever way you want as long as you're really just hanging out with your main core party members and getting the final real ending. Like you're covered. That's what I like to see.
Also, quick note, Nam, what the heck are you talking about regarding a sofa or a couch? Because he said there's a couch in Kichijoji that increases social stats. What the heck?
I think he means like the casting agent couch, like the black one you see in all the lewd videos.
I guess that would increase their stats.
Well, everybody, I gotta get out of here. Ozzy's got to get out of here. So if you have any other last burning questions, Shar, we did talk about the Rydo costumes. Our reason is basically it's easier to make one version without him, but if you keep letting Atlas know you want him, expect to get him back. But you gotta keep letting Atlas know that you want it. Like it is stupid. We shouldn't have to do this, but that's our only option at the moment, unfortunately. Um, yeah, JNC difficulty has not been fixed at all. If anyone knows about this couch, please correct us. Maybe we're stupid here. What if I type this into Google? Persona 5
Persona
Royal.
5 couch.
No, I can't just do that, because then you'll just get all the Christmas Eve banging scenes. Persona 5 Royal Kichi Joji couch. Blue couch came up. Blue couch came up. Hold on. Fancy blue sofa in Kichi Joji.
Huh. I'll look into that.
Interesting.
More.
If you sit, on this blue sofa, what? Did I just never know this?
Again, there's so many little details.
Increasing guts. Wow, cool. Very. Yeah, add a trophy for that. There's a blue couch that raises your courage. How funny. I mean, really, you and me, probably sunk over 100+ hours into this game and never knew about this fucking blue couch?
Yeah. No, again, stupidly detailed. I love this game.
Ooh, here's a good one. My 14-year-old brother wants to play this. Is that a good idea? Obviously, the game's rated M. I would say, if you know they're, fine with, because, honestly, I've said this before, it's not a hard M. It could be a T for teen. If they're fine with, darker themes, I'd say it's fine for a teenager to play.
Yeah, the hardest M aspect of it is just the first couple hours. If they can handle, any of the themes in Kamoshida's arc, they'll be fine for the rest of the game.
Did you really have to bring that up at the very end? You couldn't just let the Kamoshida dogs lie. You gotta kick that hornet's nest one more time.
Listen, okay, in terms of, if a kid should play the game,
that'd be a good Twitter poll to put out tomorrow. We should put that out there. Would you let a 13-year-old play Persona 5? And then probably it'll lead to a bunch of people being like, "Oh, isn't that half their audience anyway?" Exceed brings up a good point. The game is rated 16 and up, which I think is probably more accurate of the demographic it goes for. But also then people forget M for mature. M is only 17. It's not like it's a 21.
Yeah. Yeah, so if they're okay with several things that I'm not going to explicitly state for the sake of Spencer's channel staying alive.
Oh, don't worry. I do that all. I kill my channel all on my own by posting Digimon TCG content. Don't worry about it.
We were just talking about the Persona 5 casting couch. We're already too far gone.
Oh, here, because I'd feel bad because it's a new name. Alistair says, just joined and wanted to ask how different the game is compared to the PS4 version. Will it be the same experience? 100%. But some people are fans of replaying Persona 5 a million times, and I'm a weirdo in the sense of I remember I asked this recently as a question, and a lot of people were the opposite of me, where I was I play these games once, and then I very rarely ever go back and play them all through again.
See, I think the best way to put it, which has been kind of pointed out with a lot of what we talked about, Spencer, the game is tweaked in ways that literally only I would notice. Just someone who is that dedicated and invested to this single game, you're not going to notice anything notable other than you now have DLC.
Also interesting to note, the advertising for this game, it's basically just been, it's now on new platforms. They're not talking about 60 FPS. They're not talking about 4K. They're just saying it's Persona 5 on X platform or Switch. That's really all they gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it. I'm going to start wrapping us up for the night. Everybody, thanks so much for all your live questions, previous questions, whether you posted them the day before or two, checking this out live. Ozzy, thank you for making this not be a one-man show and learning about the blue casting couch with me. But for everyone out there who might not know who you are, and all of your great opinions on Memento Steps. Where do you want people to come find you?
You can find me on Twitter at RevivedOziak, where I tweet things that make people angry sometimes. Or you can find me on YouTube at Just Oziak, where I talk about mostly SMT Persona stuff, very rarely Toradora.
Even rarer chairs.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you guys want to go check out Ozzy, links will be in the show notes before. YouTube is nice. You can just click his name on the title and then it'll be there. Thank you, YouTube handles, for making that a permanent thing now. But yeah, everyone, if you enjoyed the show, this is part of the SMTN podcast. I've tricked you all into thinking this was just an AMA. No, it was the podcast, you fools. So if you made it this far, Shin Megami Tensei Network is a weekly podcast. This was episode 290. We are creeping up to episode 300, which is honestly intimidating and horrifying at the same time. I'm going to have to think of some way to do a big one. Like, I don't even know what to do for 250 was like a fun little community thing for it, but I'll try and see if I can do anything crazy for 300, but I still got like 10 weeks to go for that, which basically means I'm going to forget about it in 8 weeks and then freak out for 2.
You know what? Tis the season. Season
for season.
Exactly. Just remaster the first SMTN episode.
That would be funny. I could make it in 4K and surround sound, HDR audio, and DualSense.
NFT.
But yeah, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching live or listening after the fact. If you'd like, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. It really, really helps. Check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you enjoy getting your daily podcast fix. Subscribe to the channel for more dedicated videos, not just the podcast. There'll be something up this week for P5R dedicated a little bit more prim and proper, not just a hour and 40-minute ramble. But if you enjoy stuff like our rambling each and every week, please consider going to patreon.com/SMTN, where you can donate $1 a month to be a patron. $5 and up lets you become an executive producer, just like the following executive producers: Jagingus, Budweiser Tall Can, Carlos Hernandez, Contraband, Cross Ren, K-Horse, Philip Meyer, C-Show, and Solaire. Oh, and Cameron Sharp, almost forgot. Thank you all so much. The support helps a bunch. But even if you can't donate, just listening, subscribing, sharing, all that cool stuff really, really helps. And, yeah. Everyone, thanks for being so cool. If you end up picking up P5R, feel free to tag us in a tweet. I like sharing people's copies of video games, even if I don't have them. But yeah, that's been the show. Thanks for watching. And if you got nightmares because of Ozzy's knockoff PQ2 Amiibo, that's not my fault.
Or the keyboard layout for P5R.
Mm-hmm. And also, guys, if you buy multiple copies of Persona 5 this Friday, don't feel bad. Just like Ozzy's favorite MCU show, She-Hulk. Remember, everybody, 1 to rock, 1 to stock. See you next week, everybody. And now you're free!